Bit of a different one today, guys, to your usual burger joints and kebab spots. I've just been for a week in the Amalfi coast in Sorrento, and I'm going to show you what I had for food each evening. As a massive foodie, this was a dream. No food disappointed here, it was all exceptional. First up, we did 3 nights in Sorrento, and we found this cute little place off the main square called La Basilica. Each restaurant here brings you out bread with a bit of olive oil and balsamic vinegar to dip in it, and it's sensational. Had to get some chips, which were homemade and tasted lovely. And because it was the first night and my first time in Italy since 2008, we had to order pizzas. Now, I don't know if it's because they were the first pizzas we had on holiday, but they were by far the best we had in our week here. Toppings were perfect and not overdone, and the dough, oh my god, and the crust were just like perfect. It was worth waiting 16 years for a pizza in Italy because it was absolutely perfect. 10 out of 10 as far as pizzas go. Ended the evening with a tiramisu, homemade. I'm not usually a tiramisu lover, but when in Italy and oh my god, the best tiramisu I've ever had in my life. I can't even explain how good it was. So far, so good. First night we picked a belting restaurant, well impressed, 9 out of 10. The only thing I can mark it down on, it was a bit too quick, the service. We was in and out in no time, but hey ho, it is what it is. You'll find most of the restaurants here are Michelin rated. There was even quite a few Michelin star places, but I couldn't afford them. Night 2, somewhere some friends recommended to us, Le Grazie. These actually brought us out some garlic bread, which were nice, as well as the usual bread, of course. Bit of green on there, don't know what it was, but it were nice. Big open kitchen, pizzas made right in front of you, staff was so friendly. Best restaurant I went for the whole time we was there for the atmosphere. It was great in here, we had such a good night, and the food wasn't too bad at all either. There were 5 of us, we all really enjoyed our meals. It was over a week ago now, so I can't really remember what everyone got, but I don't remember any complaints. And just by looking at the presentation, I'm sure you can imagine how good the food tasted. The seafood over here is next level, and that steak was like the most perfect steak ever. The way they cooked it was incredible. All the gnocchi and pasta dishes, as you can imagine, are great too. Me personally, I had the fish this night and it was fantastic. It was so good, and it's not something I'd usually order, but the chef recommended it, so I went for it and I wasn't disappointed. Look at that homemade pasta, and we had to get tiramisu again. It was really good, but not as good as the first nights. This restaurant gets a solid 9 out of 10 for me. The food was great, but what set this apart from the rest was the service. Even brought us out some limoncello to finish off with. Me and my nan was buzzing. Chin chin. Night 3 and our last night in Sorrento, and this was probably one of the more picturesque restaurants we dined in. O Pariciano. Dining under lemon trees, it was so romantic, we loved it in here. We just got a pasta dish each in here. To be honest, out of all the restaurants we went to, this was probably my least favourite for the taste of the food. Leah absolutely loved hers though. It was still good, but that was just how high the standards were. Over the week, we shared some aubergine dish, and I'm not usually a fan of aubergines, but over here the aubergines are just different, they're so nice. If any Americans are watching, zucchini. But yeah, what I loved about this restaurant were the surroundings, and again, the staff were so nice, the service was great, and we didn't feel rushed at all. Profiteroles to end the evening, and they was absolutely stunning. If you ever come to Sorrento and fancy a romantic evening, I highly recommend this place, guys. I'll give them a solid 8 out of 10, and just want to say, while it's coming up on the screen now, the wine over here is exceptional. And that was our 3 nights in Sorrento done. We then moved on to the beautiful town of Amalfi for 4 nights. On this video is actually a video of Positano, where we did a day trip to. Most beautiful place I've ever seen with my eyes, but I'm glad we stayed in Amalfi town. It was still beautiful there, but a bit more chilled out. Positano is very touristy, but well worth going for the day. First night we went to a place called La Gallia. I'm not gonna lie, the starters from here were probably the most bang average looking food that we had, and they weren't the best. It was okay, but compared to what we've been eating, they were just a bit standard. Leah's was like a fried pizza, and I had like a potato croquette. Anyway, luckily the bread was really good, and you know what, the mains was stunning. Leah had the risotto if you're English, and it was superb. Not bad at all. I went for the lasagna, and it was easily one of the best lasagnas I've ever had in my whole life, and I always get lasagna, so that shows how good it was. The only thing what let this place down was the service. We had a 3-course meal in 45 minutes, exactly what it does, in and out, which I didn't rate, because when you're in Italy, the main part of your evening is the meal, isn't it? So yeah, it's not very good, that. However, the desserts were some of the best we had in the whole 7 nights we were here. They was incredible. This was Leah's. I don't have a clue what it was, but it was really good. Didn't touch the sides, but mine were just the best. The lemon tiramisu. I asked which dessert she's got, and she was like, you will have the lemon tiramisu. I was like, can I not look at the menu? And she was like, you will have the lemon tiramisu. So I was like, all right, I'll have the lemon tiramisu. And I had a bite, and I was like, oh my God, this is why she was telling me to get that. 10 out of 10 for this dessert. It was fantastic. I can only give the restaurant as a whole a 7 out of 10 though, due to the service and how quick they had us in and out. Might have just got them on a bad day, but that's all I can review them off. Next up, my favourite meal I had the whole time I was here. It was a Il Tari lamb shank with potatoes, gravy and a pea puree. The place didn't look much from the outside, but inside it was beautiful, and the food was even more beautiful. By far the best meal I've had. It was unbelievable. Leah's pasta dish, she was really impressed, and again the presentation was on point. The staff was lovely here too, and just chatting to them outside when we were trying to find a restaurant was what made us come in here, and we wasn't disappointed. Wow. My dessert weren't the best though. It was some form of tiramisu, but we were far too strong with the coffee. Didn't rate this one at all, sorry. Was well jealous of Leah's pistachio cheesecake though. That was a solid 10/10. She let me have a tiny little bit, but not enough. It was so good. This restaurant for me even gets a solid 9 out of 10, and we even bumped into the staff in the club later on, so they was top guys, big up. Night 3 we went to Taverna Buon Vigino. The vibe here was incredible. We were sat outside and it was lovely, so romantic again. Food was beautiful once again. My second favourite meal we had, and Leah's first favourite meal. As you can see, the presentation was on point. We shared a couple of starters, battered aubergine and battered some sort of white fish, and they were both delicious. Staff were really friendly, and I loved the chilled out vibe in here. For mains, Leah got the ravioli, and wow, it was that good. She said it was her favourite meal of the whole holiday. Doesn't look much to it, but the way they did it was out of this world. I had the pork. It came in a red wine sauce and with some Mediterranean veg. My second favourite meal, the lamb shank, just beat it. Honestly, it was so good. I've never tasted pork like it before. As you can imagine, especially if you want to sit outside, it does get really busy here, so I'd highly recommend going booking in. In Amalfi was very lucky where we were staying. We were right in the centre, close to everything, as it's only quite a small town. However, be aware, there's a lot of steps going up to everywhere. So if you're not very good physically, you might struggle here. Just a heads up, just a tip, because if you've watched this far into my video, 7.5 minutes, I might have convinced you might want to book. So, you know, finished off with a nice dessert again, spot on. This place gets a 9.5 out of 10 from me. Last but not least, we kept walking past this restaurant every night and fancied it, so we went and booked in. It's Taverna Apostoli. Sat us out on this lovely balcony overlooking the cathedral, and we had Mediterranean veg to start off with. I went for gnocchi, and on presentation it might not look the best compared to some other meals we had, but it was banging. The gnocchi just melted in your mouth. It was beautiful. Leah went for the homemade pesto spaghetti, lemon pesto to be exact, and the spaghetti was out of this world. Again, all homemade. Everything is homemade. Everything we had here was fantastic, and by far the best customer service we had. The staff here were lovely, and the vibe sat out on that terrace was brilliant. The perfect end to the perfect holiday. I highly recommend Sorrento and the Amalfi coast if you love food and good scenery. I'll let the video do the talking for this dessert. It was a lemon dessert, their speciality, and wow, bang on. 8 out of 10. If you're still watching this far through, big yourself up. See you on the next one.